Welcome back to another lesson. We have recently been learning the lines on the staff. So a long time ago, we started learning how the piano makes sounds. We opened up the piano and we looked in and we figured out and discovered how the piano makes sounds. And then we began learning the names of those sounds on our keyboard. And now we're learning how to write those sounds down, because if we know how to write them down, then we also know how to read them. So go ahead, take a minute, and draw an 11-lined staff and draw your G clef and your F clef. So you have your 11-lined staff in front of you, and you have drawn your G clef and you have drawn your F clef. So I'm going to play a note on the piano, and I want you to draw that note onto your staff. Let's start right here with this note. Can you draw this onto your staff? Okay, so this is middle C, and it looks like this on the staff. Go ahead and draw this note on the staff. This is high F, and it looks like this on the staff. And this note, go ahead and draw this note on the staff. This is low G, and it looks like this on this staff. Here's another note. Go ahead and draw this one on your staff. This is G, and this is the G, remember, that is on the line where your G clef circles the line. So this is the G that is labeled with your G clef. It's why we call it a G clef. It looks like this on your staff. What is this note? Go ahead and label this one on your staff as well. And this is the F that sits on the F line that is indicated by our F clef. We have our dot, our large dot that's part of the F clef that labels the F line. And this is the F that is indicated by that F clef, and it looks like this on your staff. So far we have labeled high F, we have labeled the G that is on our G clef line, we've labeled middle C, we've labeled F, that's on our F clef line, and we have also labeled low G. We're going to add two new notes today. So if I would play this note right here, we know that this is E because we have learned the sounds on the piano many times over, but just to review, we know that Ds always sit between two black notes. So this is D, and up a second from D is E. We also know that on our staff, if we go from one line to another line, we know that is the interval of a third. We see here is middle C, and up a third is E. So if this is up a third from middle C, where do you think this one is on our staff? This E is a third above middle C, and it looks like this on our staff. Okay, let's learn one more new one. I'm going to play this. And once again, we see that this note is a third away from middle C, But instead of going up a third, we're going to go down a third from middle C. Let me remind you once more that from a line to a line on our staff is always the interval of a third. So we see that this sound right here is a third below middle C. We also know that this is A. So where do you think that this is on the staff? This A is a third below middle C, and it looks like this on our staff. So in front of you, you should have an 11-lined staff with the G clef and the F clef, and hopefully on it you also have high F labeled, the G on our G clef line, middle C, then F on our F clef line, and low G. And then we just added E above middle C, a third up from middle C, and A, a third down from middle C. So at the end of this lesson, when I talk with you about your homework, that is the staff, and those are all the notes that I want you to label and then find on the piano this week. We're going to do a little bit of ear training with the notes that we've just labeled on our staff. So right now we know two Fs. We know high F and we know the F on our F clef line. So this is what high F sounds like. And this is what F sounds like. That's on our F clef line. I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to play one of those Fs. And I want you to listen and see if you can tell if it's our high F or it's our F on our F clef line. So go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to play one of those two Fs. What do you think, our high F or the F on our F clef line? This is our high F. Let's do this again also with another note. We know our G on our G clef line, and we know low G, which is the bottom line of our staff. Go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to play one of those Gs, and I want to see if you can hear if it's the G on the G clef line or the low G. So close your eyes. Is this low G or is this the G on the G clef line? This is low G. Let's continue working on the Farmhouse song. So this is what we have learned so far. Okay, and that is where we stopped. So to finish this song, our right hand is going to be very similar to like what we did at the beginning. We're going to use thirds. Okay, we're gonna start with our pinky and our third finger. Okay, I'll do that one more time. This is what we're gonna add. And then to finish the song, okay, once again, that was, okay, so here's the rest that we're going to learn again for our right hand. Okay, so for our left hand, our hand is still going to stay where it's been the entire song with our pinky on low G, and we use this C a lot. We're going to add low G. And then for the very last note, we switch to C with our left hand. So watch my left hand here as I play these last two measures. Okay, I'll play those two measures one more time. So I'm going to play through the entire piece right now. We have a couple more lessons that I'll just continue playing that. We'll run through it at lessons to ensure that you can learn it really well if you are enjoying that. Let's go ahead and do a short review on intervals. So let's talk again about a third and a fifth today and see if we can hear the difference with our ears. So just to remind you, here is a third. And here is the sound of a fifth. Okay, so close your eyes. I'll either play a third or a fifth. Let's see if we can hear the difference today. So close your eyes, and here is one interval. And that is a third. Close your eyes again. Here's another interval. Take a look, and if you see my fingers, you will see I am playing a fifth right now. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let's do another one. If you open your eyes, you'll see that I'm playing a third. Let's do one more. Go ahead and close your eyes. Here's another. If you open your eyes, you will see that I am playing an interval of a fifth. We have already learned how to write a 1-pulse sound, a 2-pulse sound, and a 3-pulse sound. And today we're going to learn how to write a 4-pulse sound. So if we back up a little bit to a 2-pulse sound, we have learned that there is more than one way to write that sound. And one of the ways we talked about was drawing a 1-pulse sound and then a tie and connecting it to another 1-pulse sound, and that gives us one way to write a 2-pulse sound. We also know that there is a specific note or a symbol that we use to indicate a 2-pulse sound. So here are two of the ways that we can write a sound that lasts 2 pulses. So with this in mind, how many different ways do you think we can write a 4-pulse sound? Why don't you take a minute, you can either draw some on a piece of paper or think about it. How many different ways can we write a 4-pulse sound? So there's a couple different ways that we can write a 4-pulse sound. We can take 2 2-pulse sounds and tie them together, and we could have a 4-pulse sound. Or we could take a 1-pulse note and tie it to a 3-pulse note, and we would also have a 4-pulse sound. So just like a 2-pulse sound, we have a symbol that is specifically for a 4-pulse note or a 4-pulse sound, and that is what this is. So this is what a 4-pulse note looks like. Okay, so now we know a 1-pulse, 2-pulse, 3-pulse, and 4-pulse sound. I want you to draw a few measures on a piece of paper in front of you and draw some measures with 4 pulses. And I want you to see how many different note combinations you can come up with for a 4-pulse measure. So for example, this is one way to write a 4-pulse measure. I have a 1-pulse note a 1 pulse note, and a 2 pulse note in this measure. And when you add all these notes together, we have 4 pulses in this measure. Why don't you take some time? How many different combinations of notes can you come up with to create a 4 pulse measure? Let's go ahead and talk through 8 different ways that we can write a 4 pulse measure. So one way that we can write a 4 pulse measure is simply like this. It is 1 4 pulse note in this measure. Another way that we can write a 4 pulse measure is with 2 2 pulse notes. Another way that we can write a 4 pulse measure is with 4 1 pulse notes, and that looks like this. Another way is 2 1 pulse notes followed by a 2 pulse note, and that kind of measure looks like this. Here's another way with a 2 pulse note followed by 2 1 pulse notes. Then another way is a 1 pulse note, a 2 pulse note, and another 1 pulse note. Another way is to write a 3 pulse note and a 1 pulse note. And then one more way is to write a 1 pulse note followed by a 3 pulse note. We have been doing rhythm dictations at almost all of our lessons right now, and we're going to do another dictation today. So this is where I will play you a melody and you listen and then write out the rhythm of those notes. So today's melody is going to be 4 measures long, and there are going to be 4 pulses in each measure. So these measures, you might have a 1 pulse note, or you might have a 2 pulse note, or you might have a 4 pulse note, which we just learned how to write. So go ahead, get a sheet of paper or your whiteboard set up with 4 measures, and then I will play 4 measures, 4 pulses in each measure, and you write out the rhythm. I'm going to use a metronome along with me as I play so that you have a very clear indication of the pulses in this piece. Here we go. Go ahead and write down. If you can remember that rhythm, go ahead and write it down. Otherwise, I will play it many more times. Okay, here is the entire dictation again. Here we go. And in case you need it measure by measure, I'm going to play it measure by measure now. So here is the first measure. So remember, listen for 1 pulse, 2 pulse, or 4 pulse sounds. Here's the first measure again. And here is the second measure. Here's the second measure again. And here's the third measure. Here's the third measure again. And here's your final measure. This should be the fourth measure. And I'll play your fourth measure one more time. Okay, here is the entire dictation. I'm going to play it with the metronome, and then I'll play it without, and then we will see what it looks like. And here's the dictation without a metronome. And this is what that dictation looks like. Our first measure has 4 one-pulse notes. Our second measure has 2 two-pulse notes. Our third measure has 2 two-pulse notes as well. And our fourth and last measure has 1 4-pulse note. So while you're looking at that rhythm, let me go ahead and play the dictation one more time. Hey you guys, we finished another lesson for today. Nice work getting through this lesson and nice work making it this far. For your homework today, go ahead and draw your 11-lined staff, draw the G clef and the F clef, and we are learning lots of notes these days, so label the high F, the G on the treble clef line, then the E, C, this is middle C, then the A right below that, draw the F on the F clef line, and draw your low G. Also, we learned a 4-pulse note today. So draw some measures with a 1-pulse, 2, 3, or 4-pulse notes. Draw some different combinations of measures, maybe 4 or 5 measures in a row, and using a metronome, play those rhythms at the piano. And then last of all, we finished our Farmhouse song today. If you are enjoying working on that, go ahead and continue playing our Farmhouse song.